Hey everyone! For those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. I'm Taylor. I'm a US American that's been living and working in Germany for the past few years. So today I want to do a little bit of a different video. I want to talk to you guys about why I exactly chose to move to Germany. And I'm going to stick away a little bit from the more personal reasons for that. For example, my boyfriend is German and his family lives here, so of course I took that into consideration. But today in this video, I'm going to look more at like the objective reasons why I moved here and why I think that you should also move here. So today I'm going to be talking about 5 different reasons why I decided to move to Germany. I'm going to start by discussing 2 topics just very briefly because I've already done videos on them. That's healthcare and raising children in Germany. Then I'm going to move on and discuss how I believe that Germans have healthier lifestyles here and how I wanted that to be something that I would have as well. Then I'm going to talk about workers' benefits. So when I moved to Germany, I was obviously finishing off with my education and was going to find a job and join the work field, professional sphere. So I took those very carefully into consideration. And then finally, I wanted to talk about some political considerations. So I don't really care if you guys know my political beliefs. Maybe it's a bit of a sticky topic, but that definitely played a role in me deciding to move to Germany. Before I start, I would like to encourage all of you that have not done so already to please subscribe to my channel. It encourages me and motivates me to keep creating content for all of you, so I would really be pleased if you would do that. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of background about me because my journey towards moving to Germany might be a little bit different than some of yours. So when I first moved to Germany, I was 18 years old and I decided to move here to study and get my bachelor's degree. I went to Jacobs University, which is in Bremen, which is in the northern part of Germany. And when I first decided to move here, I wasn't taking any of the considerations into account that I'll be discussing today, any of these factors, because I was 18 and I was looking for adventure and I had learned German in high school and my great grandma was from Germany, so those were completely different reasons to what I'm going to be discussing today. So maybe this title is a bit deceiving. It's not about why I originally moved to Germany, it's why I moved back to Germany and why I decided to stay here long term and really put roots down. So with that being said, I want to start with the aspect of healthcare. Like I said, I already made a video on this a few weeks ago. If you want to go see more detailed video on that, I will post it up there. And just in general, the German healthcare system is a much more fair, equitable, and transparent system than the US system is. There are 3 main reasons for this that I can really think of. There's probably many more. But the first of it would be, as mentioned in my comment section actually, not in my video from a few weeks ago, health insurance isn't just a right, it's an obligation in Germany. This means that the vast majority of people in Germany are covered by health insurance, which provides essential care. So that means it doesn't matter who you are or what circumstances you come from or what kind of means you have. If you're a student, if you're unemployed, if you have pre-existing conditions, you'll be covered by health insurance. I actually always tell my friends that the United States is a great place to grow up and it's a great place to live if you come from a family that has decent incomes, typically wealthier families, middle to high income, and if you are well connected. And if you don't have those things, it can be very difficult to move economic classes or to achieve that American dream that people talk about. And I think that health insurance provides a very clear example of that. If you don't have access to health insurance, then it's more likely that you're not going to the doctor when you should be, even for preventative care, which can lead to more dire issues, which can lead to lower life expectancy. So it's all interconnected, and it's so important that people have access to not just healthcare, but also good quality healthcare. So the second reason why I think that the German healthcare system is much more superior to the American healthcare system is because it's so much more easy to navigate, I would say. I pay 7.5% of my income into health insurance. My employer matches that, and then any essential service that I need is provided to me. I go to the doctor, they swipe my health insurance card. I don't have a copay to visit the doctor. I don't have deductibles that I have to pay. everything is really covered, and I find this so much easier. We don't have crazy networks where you have to look to see what doctor is in your network. I think it's so much more easier to navigate, and I really appreciate this. And then the third reason would be the transparency. So this kind of goes with the last point that I made, but I'm more talking about costs this time. So I think it's actually fantastic that you don't have to pay for these services, and the services that you do have to pay for example, emergency services like an ambulance ride, is capped by government regulation at 10 euros. Prescription medication, when you go to the pharmacy, prescription medication is capped at 5 euros. You don't have people that are rationing their medications. You don't have people that choose not to take medications that they actually need. That's not a thing. And I just find it insane that the United States doesn't regulate pharmaceutical drugs. It just doesn't make sense to me. So that was a really quick summary about why I think that the healthcare system here is superior and played a significant role in my decision to move to Germany. So the second reason why I decided to move to Germany had a lot to do with long-term future planning and my wish to have a family in the future. So the topic of motherhood and raising children is something I covered in my video from last week, so if you want more details, you can go watch that. I went into detail about pregnancy, childbirth in Germany, so looking more at the healthcare system. I went into detail about kindergarten, or daycare as we would refer to it in the US, and the government support for that. I went into more detail about parental leave, so 14 months if it's split between two parents at 67% of your last net paycheck. If you want more details, go watch that video. But there was one thing that was brought up in my comment section, just so you know, I read all of my comments, and it was about crime. And actually, I remember distinctly thinking about this when I was speaking with my partner before we were making the decision about where we wanted to move. And I know that the US has a big issue with shootings, and especially school shootings. And I couldn't even fathom sending my child to school knowing that there are little to no gun regulations, and that this is something that happens nearly every single week in the US. Every single week. It's something that blows my mind. And I mean, school shootings are something much more extreme, but crime in general is just more prevalent in the United States than it is in Germany. I also don't know if it's something that's more psychological, that people feel less at risk in Germany and therefore give their children more independence. But that is something that I have noticed. I notice children of all ages, I think upwards of 6 or 7 years old, riding their bikes on the streets. I've seen children alone in public transportation, buses, even trains. I saw one time like a 10-year-old alone in a train. This might be a bit extreme. But you can definitely tell that children have a lot more independence. I remember when I was growing up and I lived in a smaller town, that I wasn't allowed to ride my bike around the block at the age of 9 years old. So this might have to do with the psyche of Americans, might have to do just with the general prevalence of crime, but it's something that really stuck with me. So the third reason I moved to Germany kind of fits with the last point about raising children, but also I took it into consideration for myself, and it's the fact that I believe that Germans live a healthier lifestyle. Of course, this is a generalization, and this is based on my personal experiences. I am 100% positive that there are Americans out there that live healthier lifestyles than I do, so don't attack me for saying this. Obviously, when it comes to healthy lifestyle, you usually talk about two different factors: exercise and your diet. And to the first point of exercise, and why I feel like I exercise more here in Germany isn't because I necessarily go out of my way to exercise, which I do, but it's because of the exercise I get every day, just moving about. So for example, everything in Germany is just much more condensed. We don't have as much land mass. So in the United States, if you go there, everything is big. We have big yards, big roads. Businesses cater to cars almost, and that's not something you see that often, maybe in more rural parts of Germany, but I live in a small-ish city, mid-sized city, and you can definitely tell that everything is much more condensed, which means that you can pretty much walk or bike everywhere. I also live in the northern part of Germany, where everything is extremely flat. So especially when the weather's good, you don't see that many cars on the roads, and there's no reason that you should. My work is about a 5-minute bike ride away from here. I would never really take the car to the grocery store unless it was storming outside or I need to transport something heavy. And I think that even if you're just biking 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, it all adds up in the end. And that's just time that you were spent active. Or if you're living in an area where it's not easy to bike, you're probably taking public transportation. So you're walking from your house to the bus stop or to the metro station, which could be another 10-minute walk, and then from the metro station to your work, which is another 10-minute walk. And this is all time that you're staying active. And I know that this isn't true for every place in the United States, but in the place that I lived in Wisconsin, you needed a car to get anywhere, to get to school, to get to the supermarket, to get to work. It was impossible to live your life without a car. So I think that in general, just because of this, I live a much healthier lifestyle. I get fresh air, which is really great for my mental health, and I just think I'm better for it. Now going on to the second point of healthy lifestyle, which is diet, I really believe as well that my relationship with food is healthier here in Germany. This is for a few different reasons. It might also be just personal to me. One of the main reasons I think this way is because of portion sizes. The portions in Germany are just much smaller. I'm pretty sure plates are probably smaller here, not even kidding. When you go out to restaurants, the portion sizes will also be smaller. You will order, even if you want to order soda, for example, they'll give it to you in a 0.2 or a 0.25 milliliter glass. You don't have free refills. So I think by cutting down on your intake, your caloric intake, even subconsciously, it provides you with a better diet somehow. Another thing that I wanted to mention, in the US, I definitely think I ate more fast food, also because I was driving a lot, and then while I was driving, I was hungry, and I would just stop somewhere with my car and pick up food, and there are just so many more fast food places in the US. Not to say that we don't have them here, of course we do. We have McDonald's, we have Burger King, we have Subway, and all those things, but there's also an alternative to that you don't really see in the United States, and that is bakeries. And I'm not talking about the place, I think in American English, when you hear bakery, you think of cakes and cookies and pies and things like that. And that's different in Germany. You can get cake there, but you also get fresh bread, fresh rolls or Brötchen, and you can get rolls that have cheese or deli meat or cream cheese and things like that. So a lot of people, when they're on the go, they stop at the train station, they're looking to go somewhere for lunch. Instead of going to a fast food restaurant, they would probably stop at a bakery. And one final thing that also might be personal to me is that since I moved to Europe, I actually started becoming a vegetarian when I was in Edinburgh, Scotland, but I've taken that with me into Germany. And since becoming vegetarian, I also think that my diet has improved a lot. Instead of eating meat, I've substituted a lot more vegetables into my diet, and it's very easy to be vegetarian in the northern part of Germany. In the south, it's a bit different. They definitely have more meat-based meals, but in the north anyways, you go to supermarkets, you have a ton of vegetarian alternatives. Also at restaurants, they always have a plethora of options that you can choose from, and I think that has also helped improve my diet. Like I said, these are my own personal opinions and my own observations, but I do think that they correlate somehow with some statistics. For example, stats for obesity in the United States, you have 36.2% of the population which is obese, and in Germany you have 22.3%. So you can kind of see that play out a little bit in statistics. My fourth reason that I decided to move to Germany, like I said, I was searching for a job, I was about to enter the professional sphere, and I noticed that workers' benefits were a lot better in Germany than they are in the United States. I know people are very competitive, especially in business in the United States, and that they'll just run you into the ground, especially if you're young and you don't have any dependents. In Germany, you have a much better work-life balance. I'm not saying it's perfect by any means, but it is strides ahead of where the US is at right now. In my video on motherhood and raising children, I talk more about parental leave and maternity leave. So you can go check that out. I'm not going to get into it a lot, but like I said, 14 months if you're splitting it with your partner, 12 months if you are alone, paid leave. You just don't have that typically in most of the United States. Typically it will be unpaid leave if you even get that. So it's much better in Germany. Then I wanted to also discuss vacation days. So Germans get so many vacation days, almost to the point where not that I don't know what to do with them, but I don't have enough money to travel all the days that I have vacation days, if that makes sense. And I don't want to stay home because I'm young and I don't have any kids and I just want to get out. So this is definitely a good problem to have, I guess. So when I started working, I had 28 vacation days plus holidays on the side. And after 1 year of working, I got 30 vacation days. And I know people that have more than me. So this is something you can't even compare to the US. I know friends of mine that have 14 vacation days, for example, and they think that they're lucky. I don't know if this is true for everyone in Germany. Maybe it's just my company is really great, but any amount of time, so I have to record all of my time as well. I don't have free flexible working hours like some people do. Comment below. I think that there's a rule that's going into effect soon that all workers actually have to record their working hours to make sure that employers aren't taking advantage of their employees. But for me, I have a 40-hour work week, and any hours I work over that, I get to either take off at some point in the future or I get to get paid off. So this video is getting a bit long, but I do want to discuss briefly the 5th reason that I decided to move to Germany. And this was actually true when I was 18, as well as when I decided to stay in Germany. And those are my political beliefs. I've always been quite strong-minded in terms of my political beliefs. I'm trying to walk a bit of a line right here so I don't offend anyone. But I come from Wisconsin, which is a very conservative state. I mean, in the past decade or so, they've been considered purple, but they obviously swung red in the last election. And I'm from a small town where people, I would say, were a bit small-minded. People don't leave Wisconsin very much, and when they do, they typically travel within the United States, and they typically don't see a ton of the world. I don't want to offend anyone. I don't want this to sound really terrible, but that's how I was feeling. I was feeling a bit claustrophobic and as though nothing really changed. Like beliefs were passed down from grandparents to parents to the children, and no one really was forming their own opinions almost and seeing more of the world and trying to connect with other humans on a more individual level. This is something that I really love about Germans is, I mean, this also comes with having the means to travel, you know, that they get out a lot and that they discover other cultures and discover other people's perspectives. But I think it really has influenced the way that Germans think and also the way that the government reacts. Germany is much more progressive in terms of its politics than the United States is. Even the CDU, which is the Christian Democrat Party or whatever, which is considered conservative in Germany, is still more progressive than the Democratic Party is in the United States, barring Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, for example, who are pretty left. But you have a lot more socialist policies here, you have a lot more welfare benefits, and the government just really supports people that need that support. And I think that this is really important in terms of equality. Also, the United States is just so divided. It's divided around political lines, along party lines, but it's also divided along racial lines. I'm half Asian and I used to get bullied quite a bit. My community was also predominantly white. But the older that I've gotten, the more educated that I've gotten, I've also just learned a lot more about structural racism and how people of color are being targeted by the criminal justice system. And by, you know, it's just like, did I want to raise children in that atmosphere? Like, I still use my voice and I'm an ally and I try to do what I can from a distance, but for myself, it just pushed me away from that area. If I were to ever move back to the United States, it also would never be to Wisconsin. It would probably be to one of the coasts, but these were all things that I had to think about, and I continued to think about while I was getting my poli-sci degree, and I continue to think about today. So I hope that people are also just staying in the United States, that are combating these issues and fighting for people's rights. But that, just personally for me, it was one of the reasons that, one of the push factors that pushed me out of the United States and towards a European country. So those are my 5 reasons that I decided to move to Germany. Sorry for getting very personal. I know that the things that I talked about aren't going to be applicable to everyone, but maybe you understand my reasons a bit better. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them. If you like this video, you like the content I provide, like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys next Monday. Thanks, bye.